Okay, so here we go. From Pierre Polyev, Mark Carney says that having a carbon tax in Canada is a requirement to trade overseas. Nonsense. Taxing our energy will simply punish our businesses and ship jobs abroad, just like when Carney supported carbon taxes in Canada while his company invested in American, Australian, and Chinese coal. Only conservatives will tax for everyone for good forever. So, yes, Mark Carney has at least paused the consumer carbon tax that you pay at the pump. Although the law is still there, he's just reduced it down to nothing. But he's also saying that he's going to increase the industrial and business carbon taxes, which of course is going to make everything more expensive. It's just sneakier. It's just sneakier because Mark Carney's a sneaky snake. He says that Canadians won't pay for that for some magical reason. Of course they will. That's always what happens. But Mark Carney, when you watch Mark Carney talking about how there's going to be new opportunities and new competitiveness, that Canadian companies are going to be more competitive under him, a normal person would think, well, it's going to be cheaper for them to operate. You're going to get rid of some unnecessary regulations. He doesn't mean that. He means it's going to be more expensive for the companies because of all the added carbon taxes he's going to add, and it's going to be more difficult because of all the extra regulation, the climate regulations that he's going to put on them. He's estimating that it's going to take $2 trillion by 2050 for Canadian industry and businesses to meet his climate, his carbon standards. First, let's see what he actually says.
Guess what one of the requirements is to diversify trade to the European Union? Guess what one of the requirements is to diversify trade to the United Kingdom? Guess what one of the requirements will be to diversify trade to emerging Asia? Is to have a form of price on carbon.
Guess what? Requirement, he says. Requirement to trade with Europe. Requirement. Guess what? Guess what? Mark Carney, guess what? Europe somehow still depends on Russia's energy. Do you think that Russia has a carbon tax? I'm not sure that it does. I'm not sure about that. In fact, I don't think that it does. In fact, isn't Russia supposed to be the greatest threat to democracy or something? I don't know. Bad, though. Bad. This is January 3rd, 2025. Still depending on, oh, by the way, Canada also gets Russian oil at this point as well, which is fucking hilarious if you ask me. Let's see. U.S. LNG exports to Europe sets record. Really? Sets record. Well, wait a second. Does the U.S. have a carbon tax? Do they put onerous carbon taxes on their producers? They don't, do they? Jeez, I wonder if everything he's saying is just bullshit. When the Chancellor of Germany came to Canada and he asked Trudeau if we could supply them with LNG, and obviously Trudeau said no for some idiotic reason. But when he asked, he didn't say, as long as we'll buy it off you, but as long as you make it more expensive. Like, that didn't happen. This is all just gibberish coming from Mark Carney. It means absolutely nothing. What did he say again?
Guess what one of the requirements is to diversify trade to the European Union? Guess what one of the requirements is to diversify trade to the United Kingdom? Guess what one of the requirements will be to diversify trade to emerging Asia? Is to have a form of price on carbon. So,
for one thing, none of this stuff exists in Asia anyway. What, China? Really? Really? China's going to demand, no, we won't buy it unless you make it more expensive. What did he say?
Guess what one of the requirements is to diversify trade to the European Union? Guess what?
Let's see. Invade Ukraine? Is that the requirement? I don't know, because they're depending on Russia's energy still. And Canada is buying Russian oil, for God's sakes.
Guess what one of the requirements is to diversify trade to the European Union?
It's apparently not having Mark Carney carbon taxes because U.S. LNG exports to Europe sets record. Huh. The U.S. has been exporting larger quantities of liquefied natural gas to Europe recently, a trend that is likely to continue. No carbon tax, though. Guess what? Guess what? Mark Carney's full of shit. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Subscribing really helps me out. I thank you for that. I will see you next time.